Show. My name is Alinko. Today, today is August 12th, 2020, and we are going to be talking about the pandemic struggles. This evening, we have great guests who are going to be joining the show, but we will definitely want to take a short break. When we come back, we shall continue the show this evening. Stay tuned. Welcome back again to the Progressive Mind Show here in the beautiful city of Chicago. Good evening to you all. Good evening to the world. Good evening to friends, loved ones, family, and good evening to myself. If you wonder what the topic of today is, it is the pandemic struggles. We want to talk about housing, we want to talk about jobs, unemployment, and of course, the recent looting that has hit the beautiful city of Chicago, our beautiful city of Chicago. I don't really, side and believe in, anybody else or the people who call the city all kinds of names. Look, I believe Chicago is the most beautiful city in the entire world, regardless of whatever is going on. It has been unfortunate because I felt like the city was gradually coming back from what transpired, maybe a month or two ago with the national or global uprise, if I may use that word, of civilians, asking and talking about social justice and whatnot, and businesses trying to, reestablish themselves from the hit that they took during those demonstrations that was going on, only to wake up to another. On Monday morning, we woke up to another shocking event here in the city of Chicago, and it's saddening to a lot of people. We would be looking into that. We are great people who are going to be on the show this evening to help us digress. We encourage you all to be part of the show so you can share your ideas, share your opinions, add your voice to the dialogue, because this is where we build our community. This is what the Progressive Minds Show is about. Once again, you're welcome. I am your host, Alinko, and you can also call me Senna. A lot of people call me Senna Alinko. It doesn't matter. Senna or Alinko, I respond to any of them. But when you call me Alinko, it's like the cherry on the cake. Yeah, I'm just joking. But again, beautiful people, welcome. We have our first guest, who is the president of Anthony Simpkins. He is the managing deputy commissioner. Let me get his title correctly. He is the managing deputy commissioner. I think I got that right. Managing deputy commissioner for City of Chicago Housing. City of Chicago Housing. He is ready to join us. Just having a little bit of technical issues here, trying to get him on, but he is here with us. He's in the backstage trying to fix his stuff. He should be able to get on in a few minutes. But again, if you are watching us live on Facebook now, I would encourage you to share the feed so that your friends, my friends, entire community can be part of this dialogue, because it is very important that as we try to rebuild our society and our communities, as we wonder what could have hidden the human race in the global world. I think that one of the things that we can do as a people is to keep lifting our head up, keep looking up to hope, keep looking up to God, and also very importantly, looking out for each other, reaching out to our neighbors, reaching out to our friends, checking on each other, and holding on tightly to each other as we thrive to move through this season. It is very, very tough for everybody. The unknown and the known. So, you know what? The known is even more scary, let alone the unknown. And so a lot of people are caught in a trance, sort of, like Am I going? Am I coming? Will things be okay? Is this how it's going to be forever? Some people have actually just accepted the fact that, well, this must be our fate now. This is the human race fate. This is how our world is going to be henceforth. Others are saying no, they don't want to believe that. But who can you blame? I mean, you can blame people. There is so much uncertainty. Even governments, are struggling to come up with a one-stop solution to what the human race is going through. And so it is a very, very tough times that the human race is dealing with. However, we are humans. We are the ones, right? We triumph over every situation and every tragedy that Mother Nature has brought on us. And we have survived it all. The human race will not perish. It has not perished. We don't have a track record of perishing. We have a track record of thriving. Only God can put us down. Okay, only God can put us, and He has not said that yet. I don't think that. I don't believe that. God's time for us to God's intention is to wipe the human race or to end all that is going on. No, I don't think so. It just tragedies that is coming to us, and as people, we are dealing with them. I think that some of the things that we face as people, as humans, are things that we have caused ourselves. Most of the things, or I'll say a lot of the things, a lot of the challenges that we face as a human race globally has all been things that we kind of initiated, or planted or caused one way or the other. And, they say karma, or they say you reap what you sow. I'm trying to find the right terminology for it. But basically, FIFO, LIFO, is they call it? No, not FIFO, LIFO. Let me not use the term if I'm not remembering it. So I'm not saying the right thing. Let me just say that. Let me just go this way. What we put out there is basically what is going to come to us. And I feel like we have exhausted so much of what Mother Nature has for us. And as humans, we have done so much damage to this earth, to Mother Nature. And if we keep on this trajectory, I don't know, but I don't think that it's all going to be nice and dandy for us. And so as humans, I think that we ought to be circumspect to the things that we do to our planet, our behaviors. We watch, how we litter around and how we cause damage to the environment, paying close attention to our environment, being mindful of our society and our environment is essentially what I'm trying to say. Would we be able to prevent all these natural catastrophes that we have been facing? Heck, no, I don't believe that, because nature has a way of recycling itself. Nature is a force that the human being cannot reckon with. We are just passing through. We are existing. We are renting nature's space. And as a result, there's no more damage. I don't think that we can destroy it completely. And I also don't think that we can control how it operates. However, we can manage it in such a way that as we take care of it, as we manage it well and take care of it, it will take care of us. I believe that. All right. Now, I didn't mean to go into all of this. I just felt the inspiration to go into it while we wait for our guest. I think Tony is probably here with us. Tony, can you hear us?
I sure can. Can you hear me okay?
Excellent. We can hear you. Okay. So Tony is back here with us. We shall take a short commercial break. When we come back, we would like to talk to Tony SIMPKINS. Stay tuned on the Progressive Mind Show on Facebook. Share the feed. If you're on YouTube, please share the feed as well. We shall be right back. Welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show here in the beautiful city of Chicago. It is August 12th, 2020. I always say that there wouldn't be a day than the one you currently have. So you always have to rejoice, lift your head up, and give thanks to God. We really, really want to appreciate the Maker for giving us the chance and the opportunity to come your way and serve you. Please help us by sharing the feed so that we can together have a decorum that would enhance the society and the communities that we live in. Anthony Simpkins is right here with us, and Anthony Simpkins is a great gentleman here in the beautiful Chicago, and I think he would attest with me that Chicago is a great, beautiful city still. We don't really care what anybody else say. Anthony Simpkins had his Juris Doctorate degree in 1994 at Loyola University, Chicago. And also had, prior to that, he had his Bachelor's of Science in 1990 at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And I'm sure a lot of people, I know a lot of friends who went to the school. So you have a lot of alumni that are watching us. I'm sure they want to be contacting you or trying to say hi during the show. Now, he currently is the managing Deputy Commissioner for City of Chicago Housing. Anthony Simpkins was also a judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County. Previously, he was the Deputy Commissioner, Preservation Division for the City of Chicago Department of Housing and Economic Development. Anthony Simpkins has also worked as a senior counsel for the City of Chicago Law Department, Building and Land Use Litigation Division. He has so many accolades, so let's not try to go into it. He also has many publications, some including the Gary Newland and the what do you call it? It's the Lockout and Property Detention, Lockout Towards Detention. There's another publication. There's so many publications that he has credited to his name. He also belongs to different professional and civic associations like Chicago Council on Global Affairs. He belongs to the Cook County Bar Association, the Downtown Islamic Center, the Journal of Islamic Law Culture, and it goes on and on. This man is a great guy. So let's not use part of the show in talking about his accolades. He's going to tell us some of it. He's additionally, in all of this, the most importantly, a great father and husband, great family man. And I know you hold the record. I don't know if it's a record, but I know you were the first Muslim judge in the city of Chicago. Is that correct?
Yes. Hi, Senna. Yes, I was when I was appointed to the bench by the Illinois Supreme Court in 2014. I was the first Muslim judge want to take the bench in the state of Illinois, actually.
That is very beautiful. Anthony, I call you Tony, my brother. You are welcome to the Progressive Mind Show again. We've done this before, and today is going to be something similar, but definitely on a different platform, on a different horizon, because there's a lot that has been going on. But brother, if someone says, I mean, we know your title. What actually entails the title that you hold? How is your day-to-day? How does your day-to-day look like as the Deputy Managing Commissioner?
Sure. Well, the City of Chicago's Department of Housing is a central department that coordinates all of our housing programs with particular interest on affordable housing. Okay. We also do a number of community development programs and resident support programs. About a third of the residents of the City of Chicago have household incomes at 30% of the area median income or below, which is about $25,000 a year. So okay. The need for housing that's affordable for working class people and people with very low incomes is really critical. So a lot of our programs focus on helping to develop and also preserve housing that's affordable to lower incomes families. We provide lots of support for especially low income and working class residents. We have programs to help low income homeowners repair their homes, for instance. to help people buy homes, to help developers build homes. We help to finance affordable housing rental projects and mixed income projects. And we do a lot of work in communities, working with community organizations to provide information, resources, and support to the people that live in our neighborhoods all across the city of Chicago.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, because love, we hear the city of housing, but of the Department of Housing and all that in Chicago, but sometimes we don't really understand the common functionality of your your institution. So thank you for clarifying that for us. Let's want to take a few minutes to acknowledge people who you may have, close friends or people with your network who may have been affected by the pandemic one way or the other. I don't know if you have any of the sort, but please go ahead.
Well, you know, one of the things that I think we've all been dealing with and working through, and certainly as, you know, officials at its city government, we've been particularly focused on the results of the pandemic and the kind of pain that the pandemic has caused people all across the city. I was just talking to a close friend of mine, as a matter of fact, who unfortunately has suffered the loss of 6 family members and friends to the coronavirus. So it is really deeply affecting people, and people that haven't gotten sick. There's so many people that have been affected by the economic fallout of a pandemic, with the shutdown orders and many of our businesses being shut down. A lot of our frontline workers, you know, finding themselves at risk. Many of them getting sick, and of course, the city has worked hard to try and address a lot of those issues. But you're right on point that you know, sometimes we need to step back and just take a minute to acknowledge the people that have suffered through this, have lost family members, and you know, are struggling on a day-to-day basis as a result of this really unprecedented pandemic.
It's good to know that personally you have not, I mean, nobody close in terms of your family, your nucleus family, has been affected. So,
thank God, no one in my family has contracted the virus or become ill as a result. So, my family is very lucky, but there are thousands and thousands of families out there in Chicago and in the state and across the country, across the world, who are not. So we really have to acknowledge that.
Be grateful. Yes, we are very, very grateful. Now, the City of Chicago Housing, is it responsible for both the commercial and private is it responsible for all the commercial and private builders in the jurisdiction of the Chicago land? Because we just want to get a basic understanding.
Right. No. In that regard, you're really talking about probably 3 different agencies altogether. So again, the Department of Housing specifically focuses on housing, with a particular interest on affordable housing. When it comes to commercial and industrial properties, businesses, that sort of thing, we have other agencies. Of course, we have the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection that does a lot of the business licensing. Our Department of Planning does a lot of programs to help support small businesses, as does the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, BACP. They both have a lot of small business support programs. For larger businesses, we have like World Business Chicago that works to bring larger businesses, big companies into Chicago. And then as far as sort of managing the buildings themselves, both residential and commercial, the Department of Buildings is the department that sort of manages that construction, inspections, if there are violations or disrepair, the permits that you need to build. And of course, you know, where you can build different kinds of buildings is all governed by zoning. And so we have a separate zoning bureau and a zoning administrator that handles sort of all of the zoning questions. And so my department works with all of those departments on a regular basis.
Right.
Along with departments like Department of Public Health and the Department of Family and Support Services, for instance. We've done a lot of working closely with them, especially during the pandemic, to make sure that we have the right housing resources and related services for people that need them during the pandemic.
Brilliant. Now, I think that based off what I see, in the city of Chicago, would I be correct to say that it seemed like it is maybe the fastest growing city in the country at the moment? I mean, because there's cranes everywhere. Prior to COVID, I think it's COVID that has slowed us down. But anywhere you go in this, I mean, from downtown all the way up north, is just it's just littered with high rise and new buildings and office structures. So, am I right by saying that, or I mean, just this is just by the way, though? Is it
so, prior to the pandemic, in of maybe 2 years ago, there was a point in time where I believe the city of Chicago had more cranes in the air than any other city in the country.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the fastest growing city, but it certainly Chicago had hit sort of a growth and development boom.
Okay.
There was a lot of accelerated development, but as the mayor has pointed out, that development was not equal in all areas of the city. Right? There were areas of the city that were thriving and seeing lots and lots of increased development. And then there were other areas of the city that were still struggling really with a lack of investment. There were areas on the south and west side that were actually losing population. People were moving away. And then there were some areas of the city that were experiencing accelerated growth, but it was at the expense of many of the current residents being displaced. You had neighborhoods like Humboldt Park and Pilsen and Little Village that were concerned with gentrification. You had other areas of the city, especially on our south and our west sides, areas that were actually losing population and were really hungry for investment. So Chicago saw certainly a development boom, but it was not equal across the city. And so some of the things that we're trying to do is how do we bring investment to other parts of the city that really need it?
Exactly. And to the points that I wanted to maybe touch on is exactly what you said. How do we, distribute the wealth in terms of distribute the infrastructure development so that places like the west side and the south side of Chicago can also, have their fair share of these, developments that's going on. I mean, maybe if there are some plans or some moves that have been made already, I don't know if you want to share that with us.
Sure. Well, one of the things that Mayor Lightfoot did was she inaugurated a program, a big initiative called the Invest South and West Chicago program.
Mm-hmm.
That program specifically focused on bringing investment and resources to the south and west side neighborhoods that have really seen a lack of investment for many, many years, and on both the south and the west side. So that's being coordinated through the Department of Planning. But of course, the Department of Housing and other departments are also involved in that initiative, and that is looking at trying to coordinate some real significant investments in those communities to attract people back, to attract investment to those communities, to improve those communities. So that's a big initiative to bring investment to those areas of the city that need it and have been deprived of it for many, many years because of lots of decisions that were made in the past that really disenfranchised Black and brown neighborhoods and disinvested in Black and brown communities. And so our goal is to try and reverse that and bring investment and improvement to these communities and opportunities to those communities. One of the other things that we've done is the commissioner of the Department of Housing, Marisa Barra, had also impaneled what's called the Inclusionary Housing Task Force. So the City of Chicago has an ordinance called the Affordable Requirements Ordinance, which is an inclusionary housing ordinance. What inclusionary housing ordinances do is they require certain private residential developments to include a certain amount of affordable housing in them, right? So in some of these areas that you were just talking about, where there's a big boom and there's lots of new big residential developments being developed, that ordinance then requires those developments to include some units of affordable housing. Now, the ordinance says that you can build the units in the building that you're building, or you can build in other places, and in some instances you can pay fees instead of building the affordable units. So she's convened a big task force to look at full of government, for-profit, not-for-profit people in housing and finance and planning and community activism to come together to take a look at that ordinance and see how that we can make that ordinance better so that it promotes creating more affordable housing units in these high income areas so that working class and low income people can benefit from the kind of amenities that are available in those communities. People that live in some of these transitioning neighborhoods will have affordable housing options so they're not pushed out. If you're in a Pilsen Little Village or Woodlawn or one of these areas that's seeing development come and people are concerned about being displaced. And also so that is, so those are two big initiatives that we're looking at to bring some investment and some equity to housing and investment in the city of Chicago.
That sounds a lot. And so kudos to your office, your the other affiliates that are working very hard for the people of Chicago and beyond. What would you say it's your biggest challenge, having been doing this job for some time?
What is my biggest challenge? I would say right now, obviously, I think it is managing the realities of the pandemic and the far-reaching effects it has. From bringing resources to people that are sick as a result, from people that are being harmed economically,
right?
The lack of investment. There's lots of investment that's no longer happening because of the economic fallout of this. Trying to work with our colleagues in other cities and in the state and federal governments to try and get the resources that the city needs. So that's the biggest challenge right now. Outside of the pandemic, probably the biggest challenge for a city housing organization like where I work is the fact that Chicago is one great city. You know, it's often called the city of neighborhoods, and it's got 77 community areas in Chicago. And each of those community areas is unique. They all have challenges. They all have unique aspirations. They all have unique resources and amenities. They all have unique needs. So fashioning policies, resources, programs that fit the needs of so many different communities is always a challenge.
Excellent. Now, we heard about the emergency rental assistance program that was announced by the governor's office maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe. I don't know if you heard about that, and would you be able to throw a little bit of light on it?
Yes. So Governor Pritzker did announce a rental housing assistance program
Okay.
That program opened up earlier this month. It opened, well, actually, it opened on the 10th.
Okay.
It opened yesterday, day before yesterday. And they're taking applications for the rental assistance program through August 24th, I believe. There's a number you can call, which is 312-833-2720. If you don't have a computer and you want to apply for the grant program, you'll receive up to $5,000 that will be sent directly to your landlord to help you pay your rent.
Okay.
You can also go to the Illinois Housing Development Authority, which is IHDA. You just go to IHDA .gov, and you can apply there as well. Now, the city of Chicago, we received $21 million in Corona Relief Fund money from the federal government that we're also using for City of Chicago COVID-19 housing assistance grants as well.
Okay.
We have a City of Chicago COVID-19 housing assistance portal, as a matter of fact. You can go to chi.gov, chi.gov/housing help. And there's an application portal there. That portal is open through this coming Friday, August 14th, and we will take applications for folks that need rental assistance. You'll put in some income information, and it will it has resources through the Department of Housing, our $21 million rental assistance grants, but also will connect you with the Illinois Housing Development Authority's rental assistance, depending on what criteria you meet.
Okay.
The city also has a $3.5 million mortgage assistance grant program as well for homeowners who are having trouble with their mortgages. You go to the same portal, chi.gov/housing help, to apply for that. To be eligible for the rental assistance program, they're going to ask you some income eligibility questions.
Yes.
The assistance is available for renters who have lost income as a result of COVID-19 and are having trouble paying their rent, and they had income at 60% of the area median income, which for a single person is about $37,000 a year. For a family of four, it's about $53,000 a year. But the online application will walk you through that. If you are a homeowner and need help, you can also go to the same portal, or you can go to Neighborhood Housing Services of Chicago, who is administering the emergency assistance, which they started taking applications on August 3rd.
Okay.
They will take applications until the resource runs out.
Okay.
Be reached at nhschicago.org. And you can go to nhschicago.org/emergency assistance, or the listeners can call 800-831-7949, or they can email emergencyassistance@nhschicago.org. That assistance is available for people with incomes up to 120% of area median income, which is a little higher than the rental assistance program. So one person, you can make as much as $76,000 a year. For a family of four, you can make up to $110 or so thousand a year. You will have to show proof of income, that you're a city resident and own a home in Chicago, and that you suffered loss of income as a result of COVID-19. So there are definitely resources out there for both renters and homeowners, and the state mortgage assistance program should be, I believe, that's going to be up and running around August 24th.
Yes. So Tony, if you can share these resources, maybe after the show you can email them to me, and then yes, because people are asking for it, so we can make them public to our audience. Great.
I also want to say that if I just add one other thing, that in order to get the information out and make sure that people can apply, we are working through a number of community organizations. the organizations that might be important to your listeners is that we are working with the United Africa organization.
Okay.
You reach that uniteafricans.org. So they are also helping us to take in applications and get the word out to people and help people to process applications for that rental and mortgage assistance.
Excellent. This is very, very great, and thanks for providing that information. I don't know if you all have a special, now Nubia is with us. Nubia Willman is with the mayor's office. She's the director for New Americans. We'll come to her in a minute. But Tony, with your department, do you have like a special program for, let's say, new immigrants, without going through the United African organization that you mentioned? Are, let's say, immigrants eligible for some special housing or accommodation when they first get into the city of Chicago? Because a lot of people, like people who are seeking asylums or people who just migrated here and probably don't have any credit to rent a place and all of that. Is there any special program for them? I don't know if Nubia, you're listening and you have something for them, but Tony can help respond to that. And if you have something to add to this, you can go ahead as well.
Well, it's good to see Nubia. Glad you're with us. And yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because the programs that I mentioned, the rental assistance program in specific, is available to new immigrants and including undocumented immigrants. A lot of the federal assistance programs that have been set up, including unemployment, expanded unemployment insurance, and some others, are not available for undocumented residents and are not available for people that are like gig workers. And we've made this rental assistance resource. We made sure that it was available for new immigrants, undocumented residents as well, gig workers. So they can definitely apply. And like I said, we have organizations like the Resurrection Project and United Africa Organization and other community organizations. They can reach out to the community organizations and they can help them if they need help applying, or they can just go straight to the website or call.
This is very, very great. Thank you so much. I don't know, Nubia has been nodding. I don't know if you have something else to add to that.
No, yes. I mean, I completely agree. Hi, Tony. I think that is all correct. And the city prides itself in being a welcoming city. And we've been making sure that all of the resources coming out of the city in terms of COVID response is accessible some way or another to folks who are undocumented and all immigrants of all stripes. And I can certainly get into that momentarily. Okay,
that's beautiful. Tony, we have a question we have a couple of questions for you, but before that, want to recognize our audience on Facebook and YouTube. Please share the feed as you're watching. We see a lot of responses here, but we need you to share this feed because the information being disseminated is very, very crucial. You may not need it, but a friend a friend or a friend, somebody within your network might make use of this information. So please help us by sharing. Tommy Ademokun says, great topic and panel discussion. And I think that Aben Ope John says, welcome to the amazing men and women who impact our communities. Let me put it up here. We can all see it, impact our communities in different ways from Dallas. I am John Oben. Thank you so much, John, for being a regular member. She says, greetings from Atlanta. My heart is still at hometown Chicago. Linko, bless up, honorable members of the panel. I look forward to greeting you. I look forward to thank you. That was from and then we have this from Rebecca. She says, this is true, God is in control. I think she's commenting to the issue that went on in the city 3 days ago. Tommy says, UIC alumni in the house. 3 bless up, Anthony Simpkins. So there's an alumni here who is watching. And then we have Anthony. He says, Anthony, you have a great resume. I'd like to thank you for your services in the city of Chicago. As the Chicago Housing Managing Deputy Commissioner, how has your office managed this pandemic in the area of emergency preparedness, residents' health, and policy in the area of housing? What additional support has your office provided to residents, to senior residents, has emergency funding and regulations waivers been part of your programs for the city of Chicago?
Would you like me to go on in?
Yes, I don't know if Tony, that was a question for you. I don't know if you want to respond to this.
Sure, absolutely. So, you know, when this pandemic began, one of the first things that Mayor Lightfoot did was she organized a COVID response team that included representatives from every department in the city of Chicago. It was managed by the Office of Emergency Management. They still meet and work together on a daily basis to provide emergency response. So some of the things that we did, for instance, was the Department of Housing worked with the Department of Public Health, Department of Buildings, Department of Family Support Services to make sure that we had housing in place for people who needed isolation. And so isolation housing, we worked with an organization called the Safe Haven to get isolation housing on board. For individuals that had underlying health conditions, including some of our first responders. We worked with a number of hotels, including Hotel 166. Okay. We got those hotels so that we could provide a place for folks to stay, including our first responders who, because of COVID-19 or potential exposure to COVID-19, could not go home. And so we also immediately understood that people experiencing and at risk of homelessness were also at an increased risk of catching and transmitting COVID-19. So they opened up a number of locations, including the Rauner YMCA, Calumet High School, Salvation Army, Harbor Light, and the Broadway Armory, to provide increased congregate shelter space so that folks experiencing homelessness that had to be housed in shelters could have the proper social distancing and other assistance. So we did that. We also understood that people with disabilities and our seniors who were stuck at home might need assistance, especially with food. So the Department of Family and Support Services has expanded their Meals on Wheels program for seniors that are homebound, folks above 60. As you know, the Chicago Public Schools, even though they're not in session, still have CPS meal sites for kids under 18 and for people with disabilities. The Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities can be contacted, and they can also provide access to home delivered meals for disabled individuals that may be homebound as well. So we did try and address actually some of those issues. Yes.
Great response. Thank you so much. So we have Henry Anand. He says, we are really enjoying the show. Thank you so much, Henry, for joining. Please share the feed, okay? As you're enjoying it, I'm sure friends and family members may, make good use of this information. So share the feed while you're watching. It goes a long way in promoting the good cause that we are on. Good information on housing, thank God. That is from Nobel Childress. And then we have, he says, hi, Ted. Okay, Ted is not here yet. So when Ted comes, Rebecca says good information. And then Lara says that, let me see what she says. She says, such good information. Thank you so much, Lara, for joining us. And Lara says, can you put all these resources on your pages? Yes, we are going to be doing that, Lara, and we're definitely going to be doing that. So you can shout out to UAO from Lara, and then we have Julian from Ghana. He says, greetings from Ghana. You're all doing great. Thank you so much, Julian, for joining us. And then S.O. Caxton says, Tony is a great man. Yes, indeed. Tony is a great man. Well, at this juncture, we want to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll be looking at some of the resources available to the people of Chicago. And we have the great lady by name Nubia Woolman. She will be helping with that. Tony will still be here with us until he decides he no longer wants to be here. So Tony's Tony's my guy. So yeah, we go like that sometimes. But Tony, thank you so much for helping. You've given us a lot of great information, so we appreciate you. We will go for this quick break. Whilst we are on break, please help share the feed. Nubia, you can also go out and share the feed so that folks in your community can partake of this. We shall be right back.
Okay.
It must have been the sunset, ooh, the summer sunset. It's summertime and I'm in my prime. It feels nice outside, so dance, baby girl, just dance. Louis bag in your hand, you don't need no man. You just need your feet and toes in between the sand. Get your tan on, girl, get your tan on. I'm looking like, damn, can I mess with your plan? I'm a fan. I'm gazing at her lakeshore eyes, her Colgate smile. It's summertime.
Welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show. I am your host, Senna, aka Alinko, and we are talking about the pandemic struggles with Anthony Simpkins, who is the deputy manager deputy managing commissioner for the City of Housing, and we also have Nubia Woman, who is also with the mayor's office, specifically director for New Americans. We've been talking about housing since the onset of the program, what his office does and how people are struggling and what help people can get in these hard times. He's provided us with a lot of information, some of the links. If you missed it, we will be putting it on the Progressive Mind social media platforms so you can have access to it. Now, if you want to reach us directly, you can call 773. I'll give you this number, 815-277-5047. You can also send us an email to info.progressiveminds@gmail.com, info.progressiveminds@gmail.com, or reach to us on any of our social media platforms, and we'll be able to give you all this information that you may have missed that they shared. We are also open to business. We want to share your dreams. We want to promote your dreams, so to speak. And so feel free to reach out to us. We will promote it. We will promote your organization, your events, and other projects that you're involved in. Our rates are very affordable. Of course, we are about the community. And so anything that is geared towards upliftment and development, we are very, very interested. So please feel free to reach out to us. We are more than happy to work with you. Nubia, you've been listening so far. What other information do you have to augment or to add to what Tony has said so far?
No, I think Tony really covered all our bases. Thank you so much, because I think that's really important for people to consistently hear the message. But I think overall what's important to know is that someone who works mostly within the immigrant community, that folks may be fearful about accessing these benefits because of status. Even if they are here with status, they may think that it could impact them negatively in the future. And so they fear accessing these benefits, whether it's free testing for COVID, free meals at CPS, applying for rental assistance, all of those things, because of that potential negative impact. And while there is a concern about using those benefits at this time, it would be really important to both receive a consultation from an immigration lawyer if you do think that that's a really overwhelming concern for your situation. And the city does have the Legal Protection Fund, where we have immigrant attorneys who are able to do those assessments. And at the same time, if that is really your underlying fear, that you're eligible for these services, to still consider getting those services. Getting free testing from COVID will not impact your immigration case in the slightest. Getting that food for your children at this point, if we have to decide between a potential future remedy that could help you or getting food on the table for your kids, we're going to urge you obviously to get food for your children. And so don't let that fear block you from being able to access those basic necessities, would be my number one point. And the city, as I mentioned before, we're trying really hard to make sure all of our resources are available to everyone. And in fact, they should be. The Mayor Lightfoot issued an executive order right at the beginning of the pandemic saying that none of the resources coming from the city could be limited to folks with status. So anyone can apply, and we're hoping that people see that as a form of encouragement to really access those benefits that are so needed right now.
Thank you for sharing, but let's retract for a second. What does your office entail? If you say no Americans, what exactly is it? And what plans do you have rolled out for immigrants in the city of Chicago?
Absolutely. So it's like I live in two different realities, right? So before COVID, we really focused on immigration policy and programming here in the city. And so, as you know, the federal government is the one that controls immigration policy, the laws, like who can become an immigrant and how you come here, et cetera. And so my job was really to help create policies that both respond to those decisions from the federal level. So how were we going to respond if DACA was rescinded? How will we respond if people aren't allowed to come through the airports? All of those types of things. And then at the same time, looking internally at the city to find out ways that we can make things more accessible to folks who are new, whether you immigrated here when you were very young, like I did myself, so you have a good understanding of the systems, or if you're brand new and you just came here a few months ago and need to understand the systems because they're different in every country. So we want to make sure we're integrating folks as much as possible. And one of the big focuses for that is language access, to make sure we have things available in different languages so that people can become more civically engaged. That's really our goal. And to make sure that people are also have opportunities for economic development. That would be two of the major buckets for the Office of New Americans. And then we have to do a lot of cultural programming, citizenship ceremonies, cultural events, things of that nature. That was all before COVID. And now in the midst of COVID, as you notice, the governments are really in hyperdrive to finding those resources and safety nets that people need. And in the demographics that I serve, many folks, again, are either undocumented or have a fear of the government. And so it has been working to create both access to those programs and then working with communities to make sure they understand what's going on and feel empowered to access those benefits.
Okay, thank you for helping understand better what your office does. Yes, we're very grateful. Now we do have additional guests here in the person of JOHNETTEA Anderson. Welcome to the Progressive Mind Show, JOHNETTEA.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we can hear JOHNETTEA. Is it JOHNETTEA or help me out?
Yeah, no, it's JOHNETTEA.
JOHNETTEA. Okay. Now, I wanted to call you back. So, would you prefer JOHNETTEA or the authentic?
Whichever one works for you. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, because I know that's the oh well. So it looks like we have another candidate. Ted is in the house. Okay, that is not yet ready. So we would try and get to All right, let's try. Okay, Ted, are you ready with us? Are you ready for us, Ted? Okay, we would. Hey, so Johnetta, can you tell us the organization that you are involved in and what your organization stands for? We just want to be able to know you a little bit before we dive into the discussion this evening.
Yeah, well, I'm a poet and writer, and I've worked with many different organizations because everyone has, it seems like, similar outcomes and everyone has similar goals. So I work with a lot of different organizations. Specifically, I work with youth in arts and just figuring out ways to empower youth through art. I am, so as a poet, I go by authentic. That's why the name Mix Up is. So whichever one is fine. And so pretty much I've been working in the city for a little bit about 10 years, a little bit over 10 years, and just working with different organizations who specialize in youth empowerment and who specialize in education. That's one of the things that I'm passionate about. So that's pretty much in a nutshell.
That is beautiful, and looks like we have another. We now have Ted. I think Ted is now ready for us.
Yes, how you guys doing?
We are well and ready for you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm Ted Williams. I am a professor of political science at Kennedy King College. I also am an artist as well, an actor and a playwright. And I am here excited to be hanging out with you all tonight.
Tell us, we also want, you are the author and playwright of the Project 1619.
Yes.
Okay.
So
it's famous. It's a huge project. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So not to be confused with the 1619 project out of the New York Times, we are the 1619 musical, and we are the only stage production that is commemorating the 400-year anniversary of African Americans last year, August 20th, 1619. Well, I won a grant to write this show, and we've been traveling around doing it for a year now. And I figured, hey, the history continues, so we're going to keep on going. So this Thursday, actually, for those who are interested, we are doing a virtual show of 1619. And so we are co-sponsored by WBEZ and also the DuSable Museum. If you want to go to our website, 1619musical.com, you can get your tickets. Obviously, since the COVID-19 crisis, we've been unable to get in front of live audiences. And so we're really excited about these virtual spaces that we're able to still carry on our work. So join us on Thursday, August 20th, which will be the 401st anniversary of the first 20 enslaved Africans arriving in Point Comfort, Virginia.
Great. Okay. I am going to bring our last guest, who has been waiting patiently backstage. We seem to be having a little bit of a glitch. Dr. Obari, can you hear us? Because I see you, but your video's not popping up. Okay. We see if we can try this again. Okay, Dr. Barry, we would have to work on Dr. Barry. We'll get that worked out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we want to I just do a little recap. Prior to you all joining us, Ted and Johnetta, Anthony Simpkins, who is with the Chicago City of Housing, has been breaking it down with regards to what their department has been doing in this pandemic times with housing and some of the projects that has been going on. He also talked about the plans to bring development to the west side and south side of Chicago, basically trying to bring equity when it comes to infrastructural development. He eloquently deliberated on that in your absence. I don't know if you were listening whilst we were coming, but if you all want to probably know more about it, he's here. He'll be more than able, he'll be willing to respond to it. But what I want to touch on this evening with the two of you and probably Dr. Barry is the unemployment situation that has hit the people of Illinois. Of course, we're not exception, but we're in Illinois, so let's probably focus on here. What has been your observation, and what do you think has been the response from both local and federal level in terms of helping folks who are going through the situation? And I want to start with Johnetta, and then we can go to Ted.
Yeah, I think it's just been really hard. I think it's just been really just trying times for everyone, especially with the unemployment. You know what? Before I continue, I want to make sure I just give some love to Ted here. He don't remember, but he was my political science teacher, my professor.
I know you look familiar. I knew you from somewhere. Oh, that's so.
Back when you had like locks and stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Left the club.
Wow.
So just wanted to give you some energy, brilliant guy.
Absolutely, thank you.
But to answer your question, I just think it's hard times for a lot of people, and I think that it's been just tough and difficult, and it's just showing that we have a lot of work to do, and that it's just been difficult. That's as best as I can answer that one.
I know. It has been. Ted, your observation of the struggles of unemployment of Illinoisans and the responses, that you've seen again from local and federal level.
Yeah. So first of all, very good to see you guys all, JOHNETTEA, Brother Alenko. It is awesome to see all of you, and I'm really grateful to be here. We are facing the largest global pandemic in the last over 100 years. And because we have a federal crisis, we need a federal response. Unfortunately, this administration has piecemealed the response so that you've got 50 states, 50 different responses. Localities are even having to respond themselves. Schools have to figure out, and it is untenable. We have 40 million people who are unemployed right now, 30 million facing potential eviction by September. And the federal government's unemployment supplement program of $600 a week is ending, or has ended actually as of a week ago. And so what you're seeing is record levels of insecurity, record levels of instability. And so while I love my state of Illinois, and I think the state of Illinois is really doing a yeoman's job in trying to do what's necessary, i.e. shutting municipalities down, communities down, even offering a level of economic support, this pandemic is bigger than what the states can do by themselves. And so if you look at comparatively, nations like Canada, nations like the UK, their responses economically are much more consistent and long-term than ours are. And so if you look at the average American received a one-time $1,200 stimulus check, which is now probably almost 3 months ago. This economic response to me is borderline immoral. Not even borderline, I'm just going to say it is immoral, because you've left people, millions of people, without the stability that would come from government support in a time where they cannot really work. They cannot go forward. And you're talking about opening up businesses, but how can you even open a business and tell people that they're going to survive when people are afraid to even go to their businesses? The federal government has full responsibility. It is the only entity in our nation that has the capacity, the power, and the infrastructure to respond quickly to large-scale crises. We saw this during the Great Depression. We've seen this during times of war. We saw this after 9/11. And I'm suggesting, my brother, that we at the state level can do nothing to deal with the magnitude of this crisis. And until we have real federal leadership, and I hate to be super political, but I'm being political purposely, until we get federal leadership that takes responsibility for this pandemic. We have 15 times more cases than they have in Canada per capita, 12 times in the UK. And so this is per capita. This is not just in totality. This is per every 100,000 people. Until we get responsible leadership that takes initiative and takes full ownership of this, brothers and sisters, we are in a Darwinian state of being on our own, and it is terrifying. So thank you to Illinois, and thank you to the city of Chicago, which I believe, once again, both have responded well. But this is bigger than them.
No, thank you so much for that response. Looks like we're having a little glitch. My brother, Dr. OBARI, can you hear me? Okay, we're still struggling with that. Ted made a very great point, because up until now, I'm also going through that. I'm also experiencing that technical glitch. So it's not just Dr. OBARI, because I'm sure you all can see my camera, my image right now. But I will try and get that fixed. But great point, Ted. Now, anybody wants to respond to what Ted just said, because the last time there was some stimulus check was May, maybe. And everybody people have to stay home because we have to comply and, distance and not do all of those things. So how are people going to survive? Jobs are not opening. Jobs cannot even do interview. You can't even do an in-person interview. Everything is, and so how are people surviving? Anybody wants to respond to what Ted just said?
I mean,
if I could, I
would just like to add that I'm completely in agreement, and I'm thinking of like the new packages that are coming through. They're still going to exclude many undocumented folks. Of course, that's going to be the demographics I'm looking at, and all immigrants. And many of them are essential workers. We have them working in grocery stores, that are restaurant service industry, care workers, and they're going to be completely excluded when we have seen how much we're reliant on them. And so I'm not with you on the fact of like where are we headed in terms of morality and how we're supporting our people. And I think that's something that garners or merits more discussion, because those folks will continue to be excluded purposefully by the federal government, and it's something that we should at least pause and think about, because those safety nets don't exist for those folks.
Wow. Tony.
Yeah, and I think to her point and to the professor's point, right, I think that what you see local governments, municipalities, like the city of Chicago, who are on both the moral front line and the actual front line when it comes to dealing with the crisis, the pandemic and the fallout. Because when the federal government, this rental assistance program, we're able to provide this rental assistance program because we got $21 million in Corona relief fund money. Local governments like the city of Chicago, our revenues have been completely eviscerated. Our tax revenues, our business tax revenues, real estate tax revenues, all of the revenues that we rely upon to provide services and emergency services for our residents have been depleted. So we rely heavily on the federal government to be able to do what we need to do. And keep in mind that when the federal government excludes immigrants and undocumented residents, for instance, it's the city of it's municipalities like the city of Chicago that make up for that and provide our own resources to make sure that we're providing the resources that all of our residents need. So it really is critically, there's no one else can help us adequately deal with this situation except the federal government. And what we need leadership at the federal level. We're hoping the Senate and the House will eventually reach an agreement to provide some additional stimulus money to state and local governments who desperately need it in order to continue to provide services that people desperately need.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think those are all very valid points, for sure.
Yeah. If I may be able to add just a little bit of historic context in this crisis. We've always had this battle in America between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. The idea that whether we're going to have a nation or a government that was driven heavily by the states' rights ideology, or whether we're going to have a nation or government that's driven by a central federal authority. And what you've seen is every major crisis in this country, since really the advent of the Constitution, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement to the Great Depression to all kinds of other wars that we have faced in this country to current issues like gun violence and healthcare, you've got one segment of this country that firmly believes that it is the local and state government's responsibilities to engage their people, and that individuals ultimately are responsible for themselves. And that we don't have a community in which if one person falls, it actually affects the rest of us. And so we have this ideology that we're working against that is historic. Anytime you can look, for instance, as the president is talking, who, by the way, is a states' rights advocate, right, as a conservative, and say, well, listen, we don't want to put anything universal across the board because their cases in Alabama are not high, but the cases in Arizona are. And so let's let all the localities deal with it themselves. This is lunacy. It is foolishness. States' rights do not work in times of crisis. There's an old phrase that says that there are no atheists in foxholes. Well, I say there are no libertarians in times of economic or political crisis, because at the end of the day, we all need the federal government. We all need welfare right about now, right? Because we cannot work. And we are in a situation where, to no fault, I don't blame the president for the virus, but I do blame the president for this poor, myopic, ignorant, and selfish response to the virus that has cost 150,000 lives in this country and rising. And so we have to have a central universal response. Do you realize that Walmart has a stronger policy across the nation around mask wearing and social distancing and the response to the pandemic in their stores than the federal government does?
Well, Ted has made a lot of points, and I don't know if any of you wants to chime in on that. I guess that yes, it's unfathomable that I just don't get it. I don't know what the issue is. Maybe Ted or Tony can help us. What's the issue between Congress and the White House, Democrats versus Republicans? What is the differences that is preventing them from passing another stimulus package to the aid of the people of this country? What is that fine thing that is preventing them from doing that? Is it the president saying don't do it because he went ahead last week and said, okay, I want to give everybody some money. I want to help people with their businesses and all that. So he went ahead and did something and said something regarding passing some stimulus package. And so what is really it? Is it the president that is not doing the right thing, like you said, or is it the Congress or the Republicans and Democrats? Where is the confusion at?
Well, ultimately, it's Congress that has to pass the laws necessary to allocate the funds that we're talking about. The House has actually passed a package. And normally the way this happens is the House passes a package, the Senate passes a package, and then you go into conference and you compromise. The Senate hasn't passed a package. The House leadership and Senate leadership, along with the president's chief of staff, are supposedly negotiating but can't come to any terms. In the meantime, states, localities, and their citizens continue to suffer. So the federal government, Congress, and the White House really need to get their act so that we can provide.
Okay. In the meantime, where are the jobs? Let's come to Chicago. Let's come to this Illinois. In the absence of what the federal government has to do, what is available right here, right now, for the people of Illinois and Chicago? Where can they find some help? Where can they find some jobs if they want to? Maybe Nubia. Yeah. Where can we get?
Sure. So I wish it was as simple as to say, here's where you apply and here are all the jobs. I mean, that's really kind of what we're grappling with, right, as government entities, to see where are the resources and the help that's needed. And so people are struggling. People have lost their jobs. Certainly, people who are essential workers have been able to continue their work, but that means they've had high exposure, possibly to COVID. When we think about the grocery store workers, and then how much people then refuse to wear masks when they go into those establishments, and they're really putting those folks at risk more so than themselves. So it's obviously very complicated. And so what the city has been focusing on is really that safety net of creating those resources that we're supplementing that should exist in other ways. And so again, I know Tony went over it, but for folks who may have missed it, the city has been able to roll out some rental assistance, mortgage assistance, small business assistance. We were able to convene some donors with community partners to create a cash assistance program for those who were undocumented, who weren't able to receive the stimulus. So we're thinking as that, and again, in hyperdrive to see what we can come up with, what we can create, who's supportive of these measures so that we can find those resources. And we know ultimately, though, that it's never going to be enough, unfortunately, because we do need, the economy to be going, and that has been the biggest struggle, obviously, the ramifications of having to shelter in place. And unfortunately, this has been prolonged because we don't have a federal strategy to conquer this virus and making sure that the testing and everything else is in place. So what I would encourage folks is continuous testing, because that is really important. There's a lot of asymptomatic folks who don't know and are spreading, and this is just a super spreader. I'm going to make sure people are getting tested.
Okay.
It's free.
Okay, we'll let you expand on that, but I know Ted has to leave, so maybe you want to touch on what people can do to help themselves in terms of finding something to do, and maybe touch on the looting.
Sure. So I was going to answer a little bit of the other question as well. So
okay,
I'll take a few minutes, and I will need to leave in a second. But so let me say this: whether we realize this or not, that for some folks, this is a major crisis. The word crisis and opportunity in the Chinese language are actually are the same word, right? They come from the same root. And so this, for many people, is a crisis. For most average people, this situation is a major crisis, but there's opportunity in it. There's opportunity for us individually, which I'll talk about in a second, but let me explain something. 17 out of the top 21 top major corporations in America have reported record profits through this pandemic. Record profits, right? There are companies like Amazon, companies like the one we're on now, and it starts with an F. I'm not going to say it. They might try to shut this whole thing down if I do, right? United Healthcare, record profits, right? And so this, by the way, was essentially illegal at one point to profit off of a pandemic. So what happened after World War II was that there were companies that were making record profits because of war, and Roosevelt put forth a piece of legislation saying that you had to pay additional taxes on that money if you were getting it above and beyond what you would make in a normal year, because you're not going to profit off of those things. And so what I'm saying is that there are plenty of jobs out there right now, right? Because there's plenty of people making money. And those areas where they're making money are in food services, they're in healthcare. Unfortunately, they're in the death industry as well, in the insurance industry. Those areas are making a killing. United Healthcare is making so much money because people are not taking advantage of the healthcare because they're afraid to go to the hospital to get COVID-19, and also they're not working. So imagine an insurance company, you're getting premiums coming in all the time, right? But you're not having to pay anything out. So that is a huge issue. And so I wanted to say that very quickly. Someone asked me, actually, I'll answer a question about the disparity in race around this. And I think I'll tie that into the looting question to answer both at the same time. So yes, people of color are suffering disproportionately from COVID-19. People of color suffer disproportionately from everything in America. When white America gets a cold, Black America and Latino America, they get pneumonia. That's just kind of how it works. And so when you have underlying inequality, underlying institutional injustice, it only takes a tragedy to then see and have those injustices exacerbated, if you will. And so it doesn't surprise me at all. When we look at the looting issue, right? Of course, I did the whole video on this on a show the other day around, I don't justify or condone looters in any way, shape, or form. Now, people who don't want to hear what I got to say normally will just forget that part and then listen next thing I'm going to say, because I've had it happen like 10 times already. Because they go, oh, you're justifying. I'm not justifying looting. However, any adult that works with children, and you have a child in class and that child starts behaving and Johnny is smacking Sally in the face, you have to ask the question, why? You don't just throw Johnny in the closet and say, we're going to get rid of this horrible person. Yes, there needs to be some consequences for his action, but after you punish him, you must ask the question, why? America is really, and Chicago is the tale of two cities. America is really two nations. Dr. King said very clearly, you cannot have a first-class nation with second-class citizens. And so what happens if you have a permanent underclass in this country? It doesn't take very much to start a fire. Our communities are powder kegs. And so If they believe there's police brutality, if they believe there's an injustice, they're going to jump. Why? Because they have been denied access to the American dream. Why would you get mad at someone who does not sort of take care of their community when they don't own anything in their community, when their community is already decimated? There was a looter that was asked by the news the other day, and this is the last thing I'll say. Said, "What are you doing out here?" And this young man, he came from the city and he was downtown, and they asked him, and you know what he said? He said, "I have nothing to live for. So what do I care about you shooting me? What do I care about me tearing up Gucci stores? What do I care about that? I have nothing to live for." Until we answer that question, the why behind that young man's statement, then we'll never fix any of these problems. Pandemic, looting, you name it. These inequalities will continue to exist. And I believe that the folks at this table right here are folks that want to answer that question why and get to the root of these institutional inequities that have existed for 400 years in this country. Anyway, thank you guys. I have to run to another program like this, but thank you all. You guys are awesome. And I'd love to work with any of you to continue this work because it's so important.
Right.
Thank you, Brother Linko, for bringing us together.
Thank you so much, my brother. You've always been a supporter. You've always given us good information. We love you. As you can see, everybody on the panel, you already have lovers already and fans.
Yes.
So we are grateful for you, and we are hoping to do something like this again in the future.
Thank you.
God bless
See
you.
you, Dr. Obari, over there too. Good to see you, brother. Take care, you guys. Love you guys. Take care.
Take off you got to unmute yourself, Dr. Obari. All right, here we go. Here we go. Exactly. You're welcome to the Progressive Mind Show. We went through it a little bit, but gracious that you are here with us. How are you this evening, sir?
I appreciate that. Thank you for the invitation and for hosting the conversation.
Brilliant. Dr. Obari, take a few minutes, maybe a minute or so to introduce yourself to our audience, what you're involved in, and also acknowledge folks who may have fallen to COVID-19 within your circles, and perhaps folks in the community as well.
Yes, sir. And I mean, in terms of acknowledging folks who have fallen, I consider all of our folks are my folks. And so if my community has been affected as it is by the death or the suffering or the increased suicide or the increased addiction and increased domestic violence, that I consider all of that my, I feel the pain from all of that. And so I just want to acknowledge all of it, all of the suffering, all of the death, all of the loss. I work a lot with young men, south and west side of Chicago, and they're just surrounded by death, like the death that it consumes them. It literally keeps them up at night. And for some of them, it makes them sleep all day. And so I am sympathetic to the commonality of the suffering that we all are experiencing, whether it's anxiety or depression or loss and grief. So I think that we are all in a moment where we need to just take better care of ourselves and be more compassionate about the things that are going on that are affecting all of us. My work is, my background is psychology, clinical and community psychology. My work leans more towards the community part. I'm excited about the push for mental health. I'm glad that it's on lots of folks' agendas. I'm happy that the stigma is starting to reduce in the Black community. I also think that because I have a lot of friends that are therapists and I have a directory of Black therapists in the city, I know a lot of people are at their capacity on their, the people at waiting lists, and the therapists are struggling too. So they're at their emotional capacity. And so I know a lot of people that are open to therapy and want to find services, but are having barriers to access, whether it's insurance or whether it's money or whether it's finding a good fit, or whether it's finding somebody that will be a good fit, but does not have space to receive new clients. And so because of that, I think a lot about, in my work, what does it mean for us to create services, access, opportunities that incorporate art, culture, music, food, nutrition, movement, things that are not necessarily traditional one-on-one sit-down therapy, that creates healing opportunities for communities that really speak to the larger numbers of pain that we are experiencing in our communities than that more than one-on-one therapy, I think, can meet in this moment.
Okay.
So I think there's
Great.
good opportunities for therapy. And I also think that there are ways in which the therapy process misses the mark.
Okay.
So
Great.
that's my work, mental health, grassroots mental health access.
No, thank you. Thank you for breaking it down the way you did. And in a little bit, we would want to look at the looting part of this discussion. Nubia has to take leave of us. She has been running around. She has other appointments. City people, government people, they're always busy. And so, but we are glad to have them spend this time with us. So please go ahead, what you call Nubia, and share with us. I know you've given us some resources with regards to what the city provides, and then with regards to your office, which is the New Americans as well. But you are in the heart of where it all happened at. The looting, which has halted a lot of businesses, which is already not in existence, right? So your observation with regard to the looting, and what I know the mayor is responding well, but what are some of what would be your advice to the entire community as to how we ought to move forward as a people?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult time for everyone. There's just so many, we talk about doing government work that's trauma informed to discuss the past hurts that have happened, the current hurts that have happened, knowing that, we're dedicated to equity and inclusion, knowing that it still takes a long time to gain people's trust, and there's just so much frustration. I think the mayor has spoken clearly about where we stand and what we're hoping to do. We really want to move forward as a city together, and that means that we're going to have some tough conversations and have people come to the table, but it's not going to be easy, and we certainly don't expect it to be easy. One thing I will mention that seems a little bit distant, but I feel is very interconnected, is the need for people to complete their census if they are here in the state or in the country. I know we have some viewers that are international, but as we're finally coming around to the last few weeks of the census for 2020, it is so important for everyone to get counted, every household to get counted, because those are really then the resources, or how resources are determined to come to our communities. And so we can't talk about what the future will look like for the next 10 years, what community gets what, and who gets a school and who gets this and who gets that, if we don't have the funds and the dollars to talk about it and the congressional representation in DC. And that all comes down to an accurate count. So I, as my Nigerian friends say, I beg you to fill it out.
You beg.
It is so important. Go to mycensus2020.gov. It takes less than 10 minutes. Information is confidential. Your status does not matter. You will not get in trouble if you fill it out. It is just so important. And so we really feel that an accurate count will help give us those resources that we need to then put forward and advance that equity and inclusion agenda that we have as a city. I really apologize that I have to leave in the middle of this really good conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited, and I hope I get to come back again soon if I can invite myself.
You're always welcome to. This is the platform. This is the community platform where we engage everyone in dialogues in the effort with the vision of growing and being better people and being a better community. So you are always welcome. We thank you for your time. We appreciate you. Thanks for sharing this with us. We will be looking to host you again. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.
You as well. Bye-bye. Okay, so now that the city president is not here, let's talk about community stuff. So actually, we still have one city president here. One city president, Tony is still with us, so he probably will help answer some questions if we have it. But Johnetta, looting. Okay, so do you support it? Is it the right way to? Is it the right way to be heard in these times or not?
I think that's a loaded question for a lot of reasons, right? I think that, much like Ted, I don't condone looting. However, it's really as simple as if the police stop killing and shooting people, people will not loot. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's like just finding what is the problem, right? Like, why are people looting, right? When you work with kids, right, and something happens, you ask the why, right? And then you go to that why and you try to stop it, right? And so it's really as simple as, like, if people aren't being killed or, you know, police brutality does not exist, we don't go downtown and we don't tear up any stores, right? I also think on the other end of that question, right? What are we doing with those people as scholars, right? As academics? I think I was having this conversation the other day. I think that academics live in theory, right? Because we are always theorizing something. We're always reading all these books with all these awesome ideas, and we create these awesome ideas in our head. And then there are other people who live in like practice, right? Who like, this is happening. Your conversation isn't working, right? Because we've been having a conversation on police brutality for a very long time, specifically in Chicago, in the same place where a kid gets shot in the back. I think it was like 17 times, right? Mm-hmm. So we've been having these conversations, and we know, you know, it doesn't matter the scholar or not, right? If you're pulled over by a Chicago police officer, you're gonna have a bad day a lot of the times, right? It's like, so let's not act like there is a disconnect with Chicago police and residents on the south and west side of Chicago. So my question is, I always go back to other movements and other revolutions. And one of my favorite movements, and one of the movements I think a lot of activists are trying to recreate, is the Black Panther Party, right? And I think that the Black Panther Party there was an upground, there was an underground, right? And I think that the people who are outside looting are not the ones who are willing to have these conversations that we're willing to have, right? So how do we take those people and give them political education, right? And for a kid to say, you know, I have nothing to live for, right? I have nothing to lose, right? That person is important within our survival, right? Within our struggle, because conversations are really awesome to an extent, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes the answer comes from you walking in and knocking something over, mm-hmm. right? You busting in a door. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get results from that. So how do we balance the conversation as well as knocking down a door to get your result, right? How do we give those people political education instead of pushing them out of movements because they are toxic, right? Because they don't understand certain about political theories, or they can't rationalize certain things that we can, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with the looting. I wouldn't say that I agree with it. I say I understand it, and I say that I wish that there was a way that we can take those kids in and figure out a way to use that strategy, if that makes sense.
Right, yes. You're still logged onto the Progressive Mind Show. This is Alinko. We want to take a short break. When we come back, Dr. OBARI CARTMAN is here, Anthony Simpkins is here. We just heard from JOHNETTEA on the issue of looting. We had discussed housing, jobs, unemployment. We want to look at the recent looting that took place in the city of Chicago. Justified or not justified? In my own opinion, I think that I don't believe in that type of action. It's my personal opinion. However, some also feel justified by the actions. The authorities are working in trying to make sure that our city, our beautiful city, does not develop into something that we all do not wish for. On that note, please stay with us. If you are watching on the Progressive Minds page, please share it. Friends and our friends would always benefit from it. If you're on YouTube, we encourage you to share as well. We shall be right back after this short break.
looking for fast and reliable delivery services? Look no further. Bestman Delivery Services is here to make your life much manageable. We offer services such as grocery pickups, prescription pickups, food items, gifts, and many more. We go to your chosen pickup location and drop it after drop-off location. Contact us on our website at bestmandelivery.com or call us on 773-512-7013. You can also send us an email at bestmandelivery@gmail.com. Remember, we offer services such as grocery pickup, prescriptions, food items, gifts, and many more. That busy weekend that you need that extra hand, Bestman is here to make it much easy. If your weight is between 10 pounds to 40 pounds, Bestman got you covered. We have payment options such as credit card or debit card usage, PayPal, Apple Pay, or cash. You can also pay online. We are currently covering areas such as Bolingbrook, Romoville, Joliet, Woodridge, Lockport, Lamont, Naperville, Plainfield, Crest Hill, and other areas that will be coming up soon. At Bestman, your delivery needs is going to be fast and reliable. Your satisfaction is always our priority. What are you waiting for? Call Bestman Delivery Services now.
Joro me, I want you to love me. Joro me, baby. Joro me, Joro.
Welcome to the show, and we are about it's 7:37 p.m. We're still listening to the Progressive Mind Show, and we are going to be talking about the looting, as we said before the break. Now, Dr. OBARI CARTMAN is a community psychologist. Dr. OBARI, what would make someone resort to an act of looting and be determined that henceforth, that would be my only way of responding to something that I want to get from the society or from authorities, let's say government? What would make people want to do that consistently?
I mean, certainly desperation, certainly anger and rage. And as much as we say the looting is not justified, y'all been talking, most of this program about ways in which the rage is justified. And I agree with that. I think that the anger that they experience, they have a right to, that I feel that anger too. That I've been given opportunities to give me outlets to express that anger and tools and mechanisms to have another a release for that anger. But if I have it, there's no telling what I would do. And and I've been pushed before, and I've been in the corner before, and I've reacted out of my temper before. So I could understand what that could be like for a community that, as you say, we are living in a beautiful city, but that might not be their experience. I know a lot of people that feel like they live in an ugly city. So it depends on what part of the city you live in, how beautiful it is. And I personally have a hard time going downtown and seeing people live in the oblivion of the beauty that they get to experience that has been protected over the generations and through the policies and through the violence that has given them sort of a bubble to live in. And people go to Chicago and they visit downtown, they go to Navy Pier and say, oh, such a beautiful, such a lovely town. I don't even understand what the violence is. Like, what are people talking about, all this desolation and the depravement, that you can go to a certain parts of Chicago and experience just the beauty. And so if you go back and forth though, and if you work in the places where me and Authentic work, and you see the experiences of the young people that live in disinvested communities, and particularly in Inglewood, where they live in that community, where they look in on their block, but have this constant reminder of the elite downtown buildings that are sort of taunting them every day. So they live in squalor, but they know somebody else a couple blocks away is living in luxury, and that contradiction eventually will erupt. And you say it's the last option. I think it's not the last option. I think the folk downtown are lucky people not going there busting their heads open, let alone their windows. I think that the kind of violence that people have experienced in this country, that there could be justification for eye for an eye. But we talk about, belts and purses, it's a call to action that should wake folk up, that should shake them out of their oblivion, to recognize that if we really want our beautiful city, then we are responsible for the whole city, not just the pockets that we feel comfortable and safe in, that we've hoarded resources in, and make sure that everybody really has the safety and the beauty that I think all people deserve, especially the children.
Tony,
So,
you are. Oh,
I ain't saying I'm for looting, but I definitely, like Jonetta said, I understand it.
Great. Thanks for your excellent point. Tony, you are a state official. What would be your advice to these things that we're experiencing in Chicago? Now, yes, of course, there are some people who are saying on social media, I've seen pictures of the supposedly person who was shot. I mean, is this a picture? We're not sure, but people are posting stuff on social media saying, okay, this is the guy who was shot. Now, and people are saying, well, the police don't necessarily have to, just shoot people. And people are also saying, well, people do not have to engage in unnecessary behaviors. And so where do we find a balance as a state official? I would say state official or a city official. Tony, if you want to respond to that, what should be the balance? What should we be doing as a community going forward?
So I think that there have been people that have made the distinction between protesting,
okay,
which is your First Amendment right? It's using your voice to identify and call out injustice and inequity, and that can even become civil unrest. Right? I mean, the civil rights movement, that's what civil rights protesting was all about, right? It was about actually breaking laws and causing civil unrest. But people have made the distinction between that and more criminal focused, looting. But whether there's so there, I think there's a distinction between the two. I think there's a distinction between people who are voicing legitimate frustration, pointing out injustice, and maybe that gets to a boiling point. And then those people who are really more focused on really criminal activity, and I'm going to go get some of this.
Right.
And I think there's a distinction out there, depending on who you're talking about. But I think the point is that America touts itself as a land of opportunity. And so I think people, to the point that was just made, when people see that there is no opportunity, some people have opportunity and we don't. It's not even about, to some extent, it's not even about equity and outcomes. It's about feeling that you have the same opportunities that other people have. Okay. And if you feel that you have the same opportunities that other people have, then it's not fair. So it's incumbent upon leadership, government leadership, and community leadership to, I think, to do two things. Number one, to convey a sense to people that they matter wherever they live, whatever their zip code is, whatever school they go to, that they matter. But you do that by creating pathways for opportunity for them. And that's the real trick, right? Because we're fighting an uphill battle against decades and decades and generations of intentionally racist policies that have been put in place all over the country, but specifically we're talking about the city of Chicago. Racist policies that were put in place in the city of Chicago to disinvest, oppress, underrepresent, disenfranchise, mainly Black people, Black and brown people in the city of Chicago, and making headway against that legacy, dismantling those systems, takes a lot of work and it takes time. And so how does government convey to people that in fact they matter and that we are in fact focused on that mission? I think in the short term, that's the real key. And in the long term, it is figuring out how do you dismantle those systems.
Right. Okay. How do you dismantle those systems in the long term? We have a comment on here, but I just want to go make. I just want to be able to. Let's take this comment from Sierra Miller. She says downtown has looked tragic since our riots a month or so ago. It has been. Let me see. It has been okay, but let me continue. From okay, drill. Okay, I'm missing that from my view here. It says, but that's the state of the hood every day. Why are we up in arms about downtown being attacked? The riots have highlighted that no one should have access to a safe space if all people cannot have that. When people say all lives matter, clearly not all. I did we believe blacks are going too far by busting corporate windows when homes and businesses in Inglewood and on the west side are bust into and shot on a daily basis. I think that's what she's trying to say. Okay. Anybody wants to comment on Sarah's post here? Now, well, I can combine that with, I think that the looting that happened a month or so ago took place in our communities. I mean, on the south side, some of the poor communities. And some of those businesses have not even opened up yet. As a result, it's hurting, the communities. Right? So people are saying, why you loot? Because you're already, adding to the, the disadvantage that we have now. And now that you're going downtown to loot, guess what? Somebody may be working in one of these stores and they may live on the south side, but now if the store is closed, they cannot work. So, yeah, so there's our argument. How do we, it's very difficult, at times that we find ourselves. How do we find a balance? How do we go about this thing? Anybody wants to comment on that?
Yeah, I think it's really hard, right? It's tough because you're right. The thing is, once you loot and once you you go and you smash into business, you're also taking money and food out of people mouths who look just like you as well. While you're trying to hit a larger target, right? That's very true. On the opposite end, I don't know. I'm so in the middle, right? Because on the opposite end, the business, and I know we hear this argument all the time, right? The business in our community don't look like us. They overcharge us, right? You go into a regular store for some eggs, right, and you're gonna pay way too much money for it. When we go in, they treat us like less than, especially as a Black woman. I've been sexually harassed by the businesses in my community, right? By foreigners who look at Black women as sex objects, right? And so it's been many of times where I've been harassed by these businesses in my community. There's been many of times where I know I'm being overcharged. When I come in with a debit card, I have to spend at least $10, right, in order to buy something, right? And so you have, at a certain time, the gas stations, they close the door so you can't come in, right, because they don't trust the people in that community. So now you have to say what you want through a bulletproof glass, and you're not allowed to walk in because you might steal something, or you look like someone who might steal something or might cause an issue or problem. So yeah, while we're saying that we're tearing up our own communities, are we really, right? And then what does it say about our ownership if all these a lot of these communities that's being torn up are also being gentrified, right? Like we're being pushed out of those communities. So what does that say about our ownership for this community, right? How does that make this something that I want to protect? I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done with it. Mayor Lightfoot said something that was so catchy to me, that was so interesting, and it stuck out like a sore thumb to me, right? In her press after the recent riots, she said, turn looters in. She said, turn these criminals in and to show your loyalty to your city. She said, turn the looters in to show your loyalty to your city. Right. And I said, and I started thinking about how many times have I felt like my city have shown loyalty to me, right? When I got to pay for all these extra stickers to go on my car, right? When I'm overtaxed, right? When I'm when the police come behind me. I remember I had an issue in Hyde Park where I didn't want to sign off for something, and they called the police, and I looked up and it was like 5 squad cars, and that's normal, right? It's always like 5 squad cars for one person, right? So when have I felt so safe in the city and by the city officials that I feel obligated to show loyalty to the city by turning in looters, right? So I think before we can talk about you're tearing up your own community, I think we have to really have a conversation about what's happening in these communities and who is in these communities and who are gatekeepers in these communities and who really have the ownership over our communities.
Wow. Okay. Dr. Obari, did you have anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, I could speak to the last two comments specifically about Brother Tony's the generations of the investment in the system as it is took a long time to put into place. But what I'm really impressed by is how quickly things have changed this year. And so we've had monuments all over the world that have been in place for like decades that are all of a sudden just completely gone. And so I think that the thing that the looting does is that it shows us how quickly things can change once pain is redistributed. And what I don't love about it is that it's a short-term, solution to a long-term problem, but it does get the ball rolling in ways that we haven't seen in a long time. We've seen corporations speak about Black Lives Mattering. We've seen, the whole landscape of the conversation around structural racism has been in response to not just the protests, not just voting, not just the census, but to the actual the unrest, the riots, the rebellion. And I think that it speaks to systems change in ways that is different than we've seen before. So I encourage that. I also, I'm saddened by the fact that the sacrifices that the looters are making means that police get paid more overtime, that the insurance company is going to get they loot back from the goods. And what I really want to see is worse than what I think the looters are able to do, which is a real redistribution of funds. I really want downtown to have less money in real life and for the hood to have more. That means reparations. That means figuring out how to tax the billionaires. That means like really making sure that the looting, the fundamental root of the real looting, which is take from the haves and give it to the have-nots. I want to see that systemically. And so like y'all worried about the looting. What I really want means everybody, that's eating, that's living large, is giving a little bit more than they have before. And if it ain't gonna happen willingly, then we'll continue to see what's gonna need to happen when the people stand up and demand what I agree we deserve.
Thanks for a great point. This is the Progressive Mind Show. This is where we engage community in dialogues with the hopes of improving what we have inherited from our ancestors. It's the onus lies on us to make our society and community greater than we found it. Join the movement. Go on our website, theprogressivemindshow.com. Make your donations to us. We are 501c3, so your donations are tax deductible. Please contribute to us, to our cause, so we can, of course, improve, bring you more better show, improve shows as you are watching now. Please help share the feed so we can get the message out. Your voice, your contribution, and your actions will help make our society a better place. Now, the way things are going now, it's looking like, okay, this is the new life. Okay, the next shot or the next police civilian situation might lead to something like this. Now, I hope it's not the new way of our generation or the new way of doing things now. I definitely hope so. Hope not. But if it is, how does the future look for us? And what would you all say to folks that see Chicago in that negative light already? Because our city is being looked at, we're being called names, Chirac and all that. I don't believe that name belongs to us. I've never been no, I don't believe we're Chirac. However, we still have a very bad rap. So what do we say to people who are listening and watching what's going on now with the looting? What do we say to them? That our city is now what it is now, or is there hope? Are things going to get better? How do we move forward, guys? And I know you guys have said a lot, but seriously, we don't have the answers. I know, but I guess we can share our opinion on what we think our city will be looking like going forward, and how people can start viewing us, because this does not add to the negative vibe that we already have. And of course, we all know that Chicago is a beautiful city, but what's the way forward, guys? We only have about 5 minutes, so maybe I'll give you all a minute to tell us what the way forward is.
Wow. Okay. So I think for me, I'm less concerned with how people view, and that's probably just me, just as a person. I'm less concerned with how people view us, and more concerned with what's going on, like what's the issue, right?
Right.
I think that in the future, and it is unfortunate because it does look like every time something like this happens, we'll riot, right? And it's also, what's also unfortunate about us rioting in Chicago, before the one that we had, before this one, the last riot we had was when Dr. King was murdered on Madison and Pulaski, right? And so it's telling that we've had all these white men as mayors, and Rahm covered up a murder, right? And a lot of murders was still happening in the city, and police brutality was still going on, and we didn't riot. And then we have this black queer woman come in, right? And it's like automatically, right? We go to destroying the city, right? So that's very telling, and I'm not sure what to make of that yet, but it's telling, right? I think in the future, hopefully, and what I'm scared of is the mayor putting more money into police, right? She signed a contract between police and CPS for $33 million, right, to police Black kids, right? So I think that hopefully the police will take more classes or workshops or something about how to deal with Black and brown people in the city, or how to interact with Black and brown people that is in a healthy and positive manner. Hopefully the activists who have studied and the scholars who have studied and understand revolutions and past movements can grab those kids who are just mad and angry and frustrated and depressed and tired, and really try to redirect that anger to something that's a little more productive. And I don't want to say that writing wasn't productive, because it was. Like OBARI said, it got results, right? So whether we liked it or not, results came from it. And we've been doing a lot of, running them out, and we don't get results as fast as those riots got results. So that is important. That's a thing. That's a tool. So how do we figure out how to redirect that tool in a more healthy and productive manner? So I'm not sure if this is the new norm. I would love to see us kind of grab those kids and adults and just really redirect that rage.
My brother, would you support more town hall meetings with the police department, the city council, and community leaders? Because I think maybe, I don't know if there's something like that already going on, but maybe more of this, engaging, all the stakeholders in literally talking about how we can resolve these things. I don't know if there's, again, if there is something like that going on, that's fine. But if not, would you support something like that? Would you advocate for something like that? And then you can go ahead and give us your last words, please, Dr. OBARI.
Yeah, I think dialogue is important. I think we need to have more intersectional conversations to learn more about each other. Right. Between the police and the community. If those happen, I think they need to happen in more informal, like plain clothes. As soon as the police come in a uniform with a deadly weapon on their hip, there's nothing we could talk about. I think we need to level the playing field, have people come as humans, as fathers, as cousins, as concerned citizens, and really figure out how we can solve some of these problems. Right. And I think that could happen more and more. In general, like Johnetta said, I'm not so concerned about the reputation of the city, because I do also think that people are watching Chicago right now and being like, man, they gangsters, they don't play. And I like that as a reputation. Okay. I want the governments, I want the corporations, I want the police to be like, nah, these kids ain't playing no more. Okay. We can't just keep going business as usual, which will hopefully make a cop think twice the next time he discharges his weapon. Hopefully it makes the mayor have to think, well, maybe I need to do something different. Hopefully it makes the corporations downtown to say, okay, this is starting to affect me. I can't stay oblivious. I need to actually do something to provide programs and resources to these neighborhoods, because they're not going to just shoot each other. Now I'm in danger. Hopefully that becomes a new norm, that people are really taking responsibility for everybody in the city and redistributing our power and our resources. And as Johnetta saying, giving the young people the schools, the skills and the tools to direct that anger towards a strategy that's not just, rampant and feels good in the moment, but really actually gives us the equity, the opportunities, and the structures that we need to have healthy families and children and success.
Okay. I think the mayor, pending the circumstance that we have as in general, I think she's trying her best, right? Don't you all think so? Or nah, not for you, Johnetta? Okay. Maybe another time we can go into it.
I mean, I just you really pull out my revolutionary card here. Okay, I'm trying to say this in the best way I can. Go ahead.
No. I know I gave you that was supposed to be your last words, but it just popped up whilst Dr. Barry was talking. That just popped up in my head, and I just felt like
I think that she is doing what I love. I'll say what I like about what she is doing is that she hasn't ordered a shoot to kill. Right. When the riots happened on Madison and Pulaski in the I think it was 60s, the order was shoot to kill, right? And I think that has been dope that she has not, or that I know of, she has not ordered that. I think that she has to stop coming into press conferences sounding like an angry principal, right? Mm-hmm. And address, and it just sounded like that press conference, then it just sounded like she was just saying like, there's no justification for this. And although it is very extreme, although those action is very extreme, it is a justification, right? It is a reason, right? It is a problem that needs to be discussed, right? And I think discussing those issues and bringing those issues to the forefront. And I'm not saying get a bunch of scholars and activists in the room and we talk about the issues, right? Because the scholars and activists in Chicago are flawed, right? And that's the best way I can say that.
Some of them, you can say all of them though, right? Some of them.
I said some of them. Yeah, I said some of them, right? I hope I said some of them.
Yeah.
I said some of them are flawed. I said a lot of them are flawed. Okay. And I think that it's about we know the issue, right? It's so weird to me because it's like the way my head works is the issue is some police are brutalizing people and people are tired of it. So why not go to that issue and figure out ways to hire better police or figure out ways to create better interactions with police in these communities, right? The police, Chicago police are gangs, right? They pull up on you, they call their homies, and that was like 6 squad cars, right?
Okay.
They operate like gangs, and I know that they operate like gangs because
okay, but because emphatically they are, because there are very good cops out there who are literally, being very friendly. They come out, and I've experienced a lot of them. I see, and I'm sure you have too. Right.
I think they exist. I also think that they are in a gang, right? It's like there's good gangbangers. I know them. I've related to them, okay? Right? It's like they're also in the gang, right? And so when you have a small issue, when a police pull you over, and maybe you have never been pulled over before, right?
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know, right?
Everybody has been.
Absolutely. And so when they pull you over, it's like all these different cars that are coming. It's like when you see them taking someone out the car, and it's just like the energy, the way that they police Black and brown neighborhoods, poor Black and brown neighborhoods are not the same way that they police affluent neighborhoods, right? It's just not the same way.
Okay.
And I think we need to go to that issue of what's going on.
Right. And I think that's why I said that this one right here can take us to another show, right? Another whole conversation. And maybe with time, as we roll out these programs, we can definitely make a platform where we can dive into police and civilian relationship, and all the details of it. So thank you so much for that. And then, Dr. Barry, I know you give us your last words, but if you feel like you want to just say something, I just want to be fair, right? Respond to what Johnetta just said. Please feel free to do so before we end the show.
Just real quickly, I think that the mayor is operating as you would expect the leader of the state to protect the interests of corporations and the security guard that protects those corporations. I think that she's right in line. I don't think that she has been aligned with the majority of what people are asking for and are now getting to the demanding. And she's elected to do that. So,
well,
I think it's appropriate.
Well, she wasn't. Okay. In my opinion, I think regular people elected her to work for them, right? To bring the jobs and help solve some of these issues that the city has been facing. Of course, but in your opinion, you don't think so. And I believe that others would also feel like, oh yeah, she's working for us. She's doing this. She's solving these problems. And so I think that the opinions differ. But I really want to say that I appreciate your time, your intelligence, and and for all the things that you've shared, all the information that you've disseminated and shared, and the passion behind it. Okay, shows that you truly care about our city, our people, and the organizations that you represent. How can people reach out to you if they want to engage you or use your services? Can you put your information out there before we close quickly?
For sure. I am at Authentic Poetry on Instagram and all social media. Authentic is spelled AWTHENTIK poetry. So Authentic AWTHENTIK poetry on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. So please follow me.
Exactly. And then Dr. OBARI?
Instagram, Twitter at OCartman1. Facebook, my name, Obari Cartman. Website, drobaricartman.com. I work for an organization called Real Men Charities, www.realmencharitiesinc.org. That's the best way to find me. Excellent.
Well, JOHNETTEA Anderson, Dr. OBARI Cartman, Anthony Simpkins, Nubia Willman, I am very grateful for your time today. I know that we can get a chance to, Dr. Anthony, I think, I don't know, we lost him during to the end of the show, so we couldn't get his last words, but he definitely did contribute to the show. If you learned something today, please go on our website or social media, make a comment. Remember to turn on the notification on your Facebook page so that every Wednesday, 6 to 8, when we come your way, you can be part of this dialogue. Also, remember, you can share the feed. It's not too late. Keep sharing the feed. Also on YouTube, on our Progressive Minds channel, go on there and like the feed and share the channel, share the feed so that we can all be part of this great dialogue conversation. Now, Asibi Ayampoka says, I tuned in very late. Yes, hopefully you can join us next week early. Dr. Tommy has also been here. Sarah Miller, Constance Autry says, great program. Ashia Hasnian says, point well noted. Point well taken. Willie Gwejeke says he's watching from Diaspora Television all the way in Ghana. Thank you so much. Kay Mensa says, awesome show. Thank you so much, Kay Mensa, for always supporting us. Robert Amo, all the way from United Kingdom, says, this is deep. So definitely, you guys have informed people near and far, and so we are grateful. To our audience, God bless you, and thank you so much for always supporting us. We shall be coming your way again next week, 6 to 8 p.m. Please make sure you join the movement. It is the progressivemindshow.com. To God be the glory. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. I am your host, Alinko. We'll be coming your way again. Bye-bye. Guys, thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Dr. Barry, God bless. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You too, man.